I want to do a video on the power of social coercion and shaming and ridicule. In the men's movement, we're always talking about strategy and how we can push people in a certain direction. And I think a lot of times we end up falling back on this logic, facts and logic, all this bullshit. And even when we're debating some horrific shit, which should be just obvious to anyone is horrific. Like, all we're doing is saying the sky is blue. And a lot of times, what we just have to, our enemy is not rational. Misandry isn't logical. And we're trying to move people in a certain direction. And, we look to the feminists and we see how they manipulate men and they shame men. And I think we need to copy this tactic. So to get back to my story, it's a beautiful day. It's 65 degrees. I'm waiting here. I've got a few hours to go. It's a beautiful day. My window was down, and right here, I'll show you. I was enjoying myself, and this guy in this parking lot far away, he started doing tricks with his car. He was doing it for like 20 minutes. He was reversing fast and spinning out and doing this, peeling out, and it was making all sorts of noise, and I ignored it for a while. It was starting to get annoying, but then he moved over to this lot closer, so I'll show you right now. So, okay. So, he started off way over there. So, he started off in that parking lot way over there, but then this asshole decided to move over here, which is only a couple hundred feet away, and he was doing these tricks, and whatever, like, I don't want to be a busybody. It was annoying, but it was just getting so repetitive, and here you can see all the skid marks right here, like, doing it like 200 feet away from me. And it was just getting annoying to hear this burning rubber over and over again. And I just wanted to do, me being the experimenter and the misanthrope that I am, I decided I wanted to do an experiment. So, he started off way over there. Anyway, so I decided, okay, so I got out of my truck, and I decided to start exercising. So I started shadow boxing. And at first I just looked normal, like I was exercising and just doing, taking advantage of this nice weather. But then eventually I decided to move on to some other thing. So I started doing, and you can see there's plenty of room all over here to work out. So I went into this like little alcove right here, as visible as possible right here, and I just started doing kung fu. I started doing monkey and tiger kung fu, and I started making my movements really big and dramatic. And then within like maybe 15 seconds, I just said fuck it, and I just started acting like a retard, complete retard. Started hopping and bouncing around, making noises, going right here, just acting like a complete fucking retard. And I was looking at him and acting like an idiot, and he looked back at me. He was a skinnier guy with dark hair, and as soon as I was only acting like a retard for about 10 seconds, and then he looked at me, and he was right there, and he just drove off. And I was out of my truck, and as he's driving away, he drives up that ramp, and he's looking back at me and looking forward, looking back at me, and he took off. And I didn't, the whole time, I never threatened him, I never made any menacing gestures. I didn't cross any boundaries, I didn't want to be a busybody. I didn't want to tell him to stop doing what he was doing, because the truth was he wasn't hurting anyone. It was just fucking annoying. But I wasn't hurting anyone either, and what I was doing was just, I guess you could say, fucking annoying. But I knew that I could somehow make him feel uncomfortable. And it worked because I was 200 feet away, but there's like 2 parked cars in here, but there's no one inside them. This parking lot is empty. And I was looking at him, so he knew, and I was looking at him before I got out of the truck, so I knew he knew that I was mocking him. And I thought, I had a feeling it would work, and I had a feeling he might come over and say something to me. But if I did, I would just say, I'm just working out. You know, I have the right to do make an ass of myself, and he has the right to make an ass of himself. And it worked. And I knew that if I said something like that, there's nothing he would be able to say. Like literally, this just shows you the power of shame and ridicule. And in some ways, in almost all ways, I think ridicule trumps shame. I didn't say you should be ashamed of yourself. I didn't wag my finger at him like a teacher and say, you're being very disruptive. I figured if I could just up the retard level and make him feel uncomfortable, he would just feel really uncomfortable doing what he was doing. And it worked. This was an experiment in psychology. So I think comrades, going forward, we should use this as a lesson. I've protested circumcision so many times, and I find that the best thing to do when someone's looking at you and they're getting angry and they're saying, you're wasting your time. What are you doing? Just to point your finger at them and laugh, and they just start dancing. It doesn't register in their brain. They don't know what to do. It's like, fuck, this guy won't do what I want him to do. He's making me feel uncomfortable. We got to make people feel uncomfortable. We've got to make people feel uncomfortable. Misandry is horrific. The circumcision is horrific. Conscription is horrific. Sending young men off to die in wars for profiting corporations is horrific. The least we can do is make innocent bystanders feel extremely uncomfortable, and in order to polarize them. And it works.